What's good, everybody? Welcome to my channel. My name is JustClark, and finally, I am making a hair drawing, hair coloring tutorial proper. Been a long time coming, but the reason why it took me such a long time to actually get started working on this is because I have struggled with this shit for such a long time. But now I feel like I'm at a good point where I've improved my understanding of drawing hair and coloring hair, tell you guys my understanding of it. And also, if you guys would like to learn how I render stuff, if you've seen my works on Twitter and on Pixel, go check out my Patreon. I am starting to upload rendering practices, rendering studies that I tell you guys about my thought process. If you guys would like to know more about that, check out my Patreon, and I really appreciate the support. But without any further ado, let's get fucking started. Yeah. Alright, I'm gonna talk more about rendering hair, but I will still want to do a quick run through with how to draw hair, because obviously no matter how much you're able to render hair, if you can't fucking draw hair, it's gonna look like shit. So I'm gonna do a quick run through of how to draw hair, and we have right here a head that I have prepared. Do not ask me where I got this head, but yeah. And also, if you're wondering,
how do I draw this head?
lucky you, because last week I just posted a video about how to draw heads, so go check that out.
You stupid.
Alright, so now, first thing that I think about, where the area of the hair is gonna be, which is divided into 4 parts, which is gonna be the bangs, we have the side, and then we have the part at the back. And then the next thing is the source area. Now, not every character is gonna have the same source point of hair. Some characters, their source point is right here. Some characters, their source point is right there. Some characters, their source point is in the middle or something like that. So you want to be able to figure that out if you look at a character that you're trying to draw, or if you're making a character. The source point of the hair is gonna be very important, especially as well when you're rendering the character. I am going to draw Eula, probably at my top list right now. I've been using her plenty of times. So for Eula, her source point I'm seeing right here is around the middle. Now it's actually not a source point, it's kind of more like a source line. The shape of the hair is the next important thing. It contributes a lot to the silhouette of the character. Silhouette of the character is very important, especially if you're making fan arts, or if you want to make a character stand out and be memorable. When I draw hair, I usually start just blocking out the biggest shapes. The thought process behind this is like, I'm thinking of these hair clumps. When you see this part right here, it's actually a bunch of hair going like that, right? And this kind of shape language, something that's going to be very important when we start rendering the hair. But anyways, I'm going to start to draw the hair. Pay attention to how I draw the lines, and I'm not gonna speak because I need to focus. Yeah. Alright, now I am back. We had this little shape right here. It's kind of like this, right? And that's just the hair folding onto itself. Drawing hair, you kind of want to think about drawing it like paper. So you want to get comfortable and used to drawing hair like this. You want to be able to get comfortable with drawing these shapes like that. That's how hair turns and folds onto itself. Alright, so I am back. I have rendered, pretty like rough render, and now I am going to talk about the question, what makes hair hair? It's a bunch of hair strands, and you do not want to draw each individual strand. You don't want to just do this. You want to pretty much render it in a way that it gives a tell that there are multiple strands, and the way that it's pretty much done is understanding the hair group. Now, the way I render the depth for the hair is just through kind of doing a quick light shading and then adding deeper colors. The way hair works with color and light is that, let's say we have this hair strand here. Now let's say the light is coming from the top left So pretty much if we're going to shade it, it's gonna go from dark and then to light and then back to dark. And then it's gonna fade out again. The lighting setup that I have here, light is coming from the left. Now the best example I can do is with this hair group. Now understanding how hair works and that this is a three-dimensional shape, I will first put where the shadows are going to be because light is coming from the left. And then so I will add a couple darker areas here. And in this way, I'm kind of like rendering the hair unintentionally, like I'm giving a tell of a few strands with the shapes that I'm using. But as you can see, it's already starting to look like hair. You can see some depth over here. Then I'm gonna go over here this time. I'm gonna add some darker areas. As you can see, has this tell of the strands with the lines. The main things that I want you guys to understand here, try to render the hair showing that there are a bunch of strands without actually drawing the strands. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of how I think about it. Like you're giving the idea rather than you're actually drawing the thing itself. And also understanding how the depth of the hair works so that in this case, whatever your style is, you understand the fundamental reasoning as to why hair is shaded that way. I feel like this is a very, very important thing because back then when I was struggling with how to color hair, most of the tutorials I saw, I still continued to ask myself like, okay, but why would you shade the hair that way? And through me studying it myself, that's what I realized is that you want to be able to give the idea. I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys understand that, and I hope that that can help you understand how to shade hair in whatever style that you do. So anyways, I'm gonna do this time lapse and pay attention to how I color it. When you're tackling the hair shape like this, think about it as this shape. Like that. You have these two areas here, kind of like folded like this. I don't know if this is normal, but it's kind of folded like this. Like if you turn a paper into a concave shape, that's how I see it. And then since the light is coming from the left, this area here would be darker because this would receive a bit more light compared to this one. And there you go. Alright, then next up, this area at the back, and like I said earlier in the beginning, this is why the source point is very important. Because when we're tackling the area here at the back, we don't want to just shade this generally as one whole thing, unless obviously you're going for that feel, you're going for that cel-shaded look. But me personally, I kind of like to render things a little bit more like semi-realistic. So the way I do it is because I understand where the hair is coming from. I can pretty much separate it into little layers. So I can start with this, then render that, we have this hair right there. And then when we're going with this part right here, we still know that it's coming from around here, from the source point. So we just have to understand the direction and follow that, and then boom, then just go back up. Now I'm just going over and adding a little bit more depth into the hair, just because 2 levels, or actually no, there's just 1 level of shading, and going for 2 levels will add a bit more definition, especially with these areas at the back. So yeah. Alright, so last but not the least, the highlights. And for me, I usually use the screen layer mode. The highlights help defining more of the strands. So you gotta know that there are individual strands right here, and this is just like a group. So in this case, if it's a long strand of hair, you want to do like longer highlights. Obviously that depends on the strength of the light as well. Now for this one, I'm gonna add a little bit, but not as much, because this is kind of like inside or something. Yeah. Now for the highlights, it does kind of depend on the style, but you don't want to worry too much about style. Style is simply just how you choose to define things, but you still gotta have the knowledge, the fundamentals, before you start worrying about style. Keeping in mind as well the shape and flow of the hair. So I'm adding a little bit of a curve. We have a longer group, so I'm just gonna go with this one. And then we have this part here being lit as well, so we'll just add some highlights on that. And then I like to go use a finger smudge tool to kind of sharpen the highlights a little bit. Now this is kind of like a stylistic choice, but just remember that the highlight, you want to use the highlights not only to define the lights, but also define more of the shape of the hair. So when you're dealing with this square shape, you don't want too much of sharp highlights like this. You want more square shaped highlights. As for this one, so you can see that I'm having more sharper pointy highlights, because this shape here is pointed. Then next, obviously light will kind of weaken further the object faces away from the light, and so I take the base hair color and kind of apply that to the right side, because the light is coming from the left, and then go darker a little bit, and then I will just add some extra light. Now because the hair is blue, I'll probably choose a bluish color as well. Kind of enhance the highlights a little bit with this. Boom. Alright, I hope that helped. I hope you guys learn more about not just how to color hair, but also understanding how hair works, so that whatever style you have, whatever style you prefer to use, you understand the basic fundamentals and principles of how the hair works, and you can pretty much manipulate it however you want, because you gotta know the rules to break the rules. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. If you'd like to see more of my works, check out my Twitter, check out my Pixiv. All the links will be in the description down below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, and if it helped you, please leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment down below what you think, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah.
Take a walk at the park, don't remember where I started. Sky getting dark, but the air is warm and calm. Skip, hold your head in mine, so take skies clear, so the stars